I have an opinion on the end of the Department of Defense. And you know what? I would say that if the War Department was good enough under founding principles to be better as a conceptualization for um, uh, our organized warriors. Then we might actually be doing something that basically liberates us in a certain sense. I was listening yesterday because he didn't say he was going to do it today, but yesterday I was listening and the president said, we used to call it the War Department. I might again. And then like 24 hours later, he says, you know what? Yeah, I think I will. So he literally only brought this up a day ago and then does it. And apparently, with the idea of defense, as it were, I think the matter was to falsely project that we only use our military in retaliation. And this was a big point in 2003 about preemptive war. Right? In 2003, we went to war in Iraq preemptively for no real good reason, because there was not a escalation in tone or aggression after 9/11 coming from Baghdad, Saddam's palace, Iraq as a whole. There was nothing to the international conversation, the global conversation about the reach of Al-Qaeda as such. It's just, everything just got wrapped together because we were going into jihad mode. We were just like, oh my God, all these Arabs that aren't Saudi Arabia are hurting me. Oh no. Right? And like, that's what it felt like. A Middle Eastern person that is not Saudi Arabia is hurting me. That's what it felt like, honestly. The entire, the last 30 years. We've been at this for fucking 30 years. Since the fucking Cold War ended, right? Everything's been about the proxy war in the Middle East. We keep saying that like we're trying to go to war with Russia, right? Oh, well, did you know that Russia had interest here? This is why there'll be World War III. It's just like, I know about this quote proxy game, but there's also a whole lot of international relations going on as a whole, and we're trying to keep a peace because nobody's complaining about any of those international relations. They just are complaining about, various ideological existences of things, and territorial disputes, and so on and so forth. And it's a question of what is the issue that the people actually want or think they want, and what is the issue that those that would exploit or lead them are as their actual agendas. So, as a Department of Defense, we are saying, like it gives us the inability to act on several levels if we're just saying we're Department of Defense, right? But at the same time, we definitely didn't like the precedent we set about this preemptive war kind of measure that we went through off of intelligence that really hardly had any fucking international corroborative backing. I believe there were nations that, whether they fucking really believed it or not, couldn't really say no to America in its presentation of information, right? Like, America was a different fucking beast by the end of the 90s, right? The way everything was set up for the neocons to inherit the new millennium and to be the first part of this age of the digital modernization, which began to sink its teeth in when we got into the Obama universe, which has led us up to all the undoings and redoings and then undoings again of the current time as we sit in a psychological wrestling match with ourselves over all sorts of exploits on a certain level. And if the family aspect of things is true with the Box Saga, then the biggest difficulty that we are not addressing is family ties, right? Trump is not going to put dishonor upon his house. He's not going to shame his family, right? And if he is a bona fide House of Orange royal bloodline, it means that's his prima facie determinative by the gatekeepers of national rule among the various unified peoples of their respective nations, the gathered tribes and such. Because if you look back and you understand certain aspects of American history from colonial establishments, including who was holding the offices and ownership titles of the different colonies at the time of the United States, you get a sense of these spin-off families from within the British family system, right? You then look at the Box Saga, you understand how the rabbis control the breeding program that establishes the divine right of kings. So, they're putting their own children in charge of shit, right? They have a child who, with an heiress, and they're just like, this is my son. They sit on the throne. This is my son. He will be in office for X amount of time, right? You know? I'm wondering if they had to expand their whole thing for presidents, right? Because it's just like, think about their need to find these families. They have to sell the family, right? It's just like, they got to bring a Bush around. They got to bring a Clinton around. They got to bring a Kennedy around. They got to bring what's his face? An Adams. I think it was Adams. His son got elected. A Jackson, I think, maybe had a son elected. You know, there's the cousin aspects of it too. The blatant one is the Roosevelt cousins that both get elected in their respective eras. Right? I don't know if there's a way this goes forward under their breeding system. Because, you know, because their breeding system, I don't think the Bok Saga is going to account for the insertion of the alien, right? Those who opened the dark portals and brought in the Sumerian overlords that would assume rule over all on behalf of several fucking factions. Hey, Susie. So, depending on the Bok Saga itself, and of no fault of anybody in the Bok line that carried the saga, because they had no interest in using their bloodline to exploit anything, only to tell them that I tell the story, I know the story, I am the skald of this story. It's my name. So, and his passing was the end of a direct bloodline to the beginning of civilization. Or at least the Bok Saga part of civilization, which is got a massive amount of accuracies in it and things that need to be fixed as clarity comes in and shows us the precise context of various events, right? Because remember, when, you know, I think when Eeyore is telling you about the ego trip of the leaders, right? That is just, that is a primal simplification he is giving you that the mythos serves, right? That all of the thoughts as they were to try and force a certain change that was not agreed upon by everyone from Udma, right? These were the ego trippers. I believe Krishna was one of these ego trippers because he was the marriage maker. He's the one that made marriage a thing. At least in the way that we see it now, right? And it was a problem because he introduced the marriage getting ahead of the social order, right? So like it created a mess that we had to take many generations to have a different way of living, right? Because You get married, now here you are, you're making your own little nook of peoples and whatnot, right? It was just like, because, we went from, strictly living, knowing the breeding system as the major aspect of the entire structure of life. You're psychologically wired with a certain understanding of who everybody is family-wise, who is closer to Udma, who's further from Udma, like that. What does it mean to be that way? And the rough deal of if you were a thrall, you didn't get to move up. You were stuck. Only women got to move around in caste through the breeding program. It's not marriage though, right? It's a different. It works differently. But that's one of the things, right? Because it's about upbreeding certain genetics, and it was a way that they groomed themselves to expand the civilization and then bring back the genetic information built by the generations of the civilization to upfill that back up to the top where the king and the queen, and then the king and the queen giving the highest offering to the lord and the lady, to Frey and Freya. And as long as you kept doing all of that, Udin and Ma are happy. And I don't think the Box Saga has any more of a good explanation for the cause of the first Ragnarok, which got all this started, in any manner that one could say was, a human being did something, started changing the way everybody did things, right? The only thing that they do say is that, Michelle Merrill has said it, and things like that. It says, it's kind of like the Box Saga says, the Bible is basically true, but it's missing all the elements, right? So, in context of the Box Saga, you can make that statement because it reveals the underpinning pro-paganism of the thing, and you can re-understand the henotheistic values of the Hebrews as the people who the rabbis come from, or perhaps the rabbis come from them, one way or the other, right? And that they practice something unique as per their station in the breeding program, which is ordained by God as per divine appointed mythology, right? So that's the thing with the Box Saga, is to not let it transform you into almost because if you take it just as is and you don't talk more about it, you can end up sympathizing with the elites as a whole and being more interested in, we gotta find that King Arthur in the bloodline, man. You have to find King Arthur in your own blood, because King Arthur got his blood from a shared ancestor to you and me. Trust me, I know, I'm a purdy. How's it going in here? I think I see Saniko. It is very hard to see. Yes, everybody's just saying hi, good morning. All right, yes, good to see you guys. Let me see. Am I there yet? Yeah, I can get over here. Let's move. So, I like to do that kind of like I wanted to go off on that tangent because I'm talking about the whole War Department thing, which is going to naturally bring up all of the constitutionality questions about returning to the war vernacular as such. And it's just interesting that it's happening now with all of these peoples, right? Because it would seem, even though it also seems like there's no progress in certain respects, it would seem that now that we're not worried as much about war anymore, right? Because, Trump just did a bazillion effing things in Europe and everywhere, and Alaska, with all these international whatevers, talking to Putin, talking to the Ukraine, the European Commissioner, Finland, and a bunch of other countries in NATO, and to be honest with you, all things considered, because everybody fucking is starting to see the point now that Ukraine and Russia want to be fighting each other as just an absolute sad fact. And so it's kind of like they're kind of making a deal where, all right, let them kill each other like right here, and as long as it all stays right here, that's fair game in war. So I have reached my destination. I am going to take some time for myself